Machine polishing. We're going to talk about what do we have to do to our vehicle to get it ready for a top coat. And we've been talking about this in previous videos. We've been prepping. So if you missed the beginning, you'll want to go back and view those videos. We've got the beginning video when we wash and prep our vehicle and get the outer surface free of debris, dust, dirt, grime. Then we went into a clay bar stage where we're claying the actual finish. That is helping remove all that deep contamination. We have to do that process before we can use this tool. Fortunately for us, we're working on a 2020 Ford Explorer, and this bad boy is gorgeous. The paint doesn't have any swirl marks, which we typically see in a vehicle that's several years old. But this paint looks really, really nice. And so we're just gonna do a real light compounding on this vehicle. And again, it's the next step in order to get to that end top coat to get our vehicle sealed and ready for the elements and ready for driving. So we're gonna begin with the basics as to how to use this tool, what other products we can use. So let's begin. So if you got this far in the videos, you know that the next process is using a machine to compound our surface. This is a random orbital buffing machine, and it's going to clean and it's going to smooth out our paint and get us ready for our final coat, our top coat, whether it be wax or ceramic coating. And what this does is it helps with scratches and swirls and marring. And we can use this from a real heavy pad. And this one here is a very fine pad. And with this paint here on our 2020 Ford Explorer, we have very little swirling, very few dings in the body. This is very nice paint for this age of a vehicle. So we're going to just use a fine pad today with some very fine cutting compound, and we're going to bring out that shine and get it ready for our wax. But if you've missed it, there are steps that we do before we get to this here buffing process, okay? And we want to make sure we wash first of all. So if you haven't watched that video, go back and review how to properly wash your vehicle. You know, there's different steps that we go along the way, and that's the first one. Secondly, we want to come into a shaded area, into a garage is perfect, but we don't want to do that out in the sun. But then we're going to clay bar, okay? And with a clay bar, if you haven't watched that video, go back and check that video out. It's a really important process to get all that contamination out of the paint. Not only the paint, but the windows. We want that product real clean, and now we can do some machine polishing. And that's gonna bring out that luster. It's gonna get rid of scratching, marring, any blemishes that we have. We're gonna try to pull out as much as possible. Many times when we have a blemish or say swirl marks in our paint, we can get rid of that through machine polishing. And what happens is there's ripples and bumps and hills and valleys in our paint. And what this does is it helps to continue to smooth out that paint, kind of taking a little bit of that clear coat and kind of evening it out. So when that light, the sunlight reflects off, what our eyes then see is a very smooth finish. And it brings out that luster and that shine. That's what our goal is here. Bring out that vibrant shine of that beautiful paint. So let's try to eliminate a little bit of buffing, a little bit of swirling by buffing. And yeah, let's get this ready for prep for our wax. We're gonna use a ceramic wax on this, but that'll be a later video. We'll show you how to do that. So we have a fine pad, and like I said, they have many different kind of pad. They have a coarse, they have medium pads, they have wool pads. Depends on what you're looking at here. Now, if we had a heavily damaged vehicle with a lot of swirl marks and scratches, we'd probably start with a real gritty compound and a heavy heavy coarse pad, and we would try to take a little bit more clear coat off in order to even out that paint. So here's an example of a heavier compound, and you can see it even has a little gauge on the side, and it shows here that this would be an extra heavy cut, and this would actually take a lot more of the clear coat off, and also any remaining wax that was on there from the previous owner, or maybe you waxed your vehicle yourself or put some kind of a finish on it. This would help eliminate that, and that's really what we want to do. We want to make sure that this is a virgin clear coat. It is just like it came off the lot when you bought it, and then we want to be able to put our own coating on there. So you can use a heavier compound, but for today, and they make many different brands. We're using the Meguiar's brand. We're going to stick with that. We're going to use one that has a very fine cut. So again, like any of our products, we're going to give it a good shake. And we're going to just put a couple blops on our pad here. And we're going to do a small section at a time. So I'm going to drape the cord over my shoulder. I do not want that hitting the body of the car or the vehicle that we're working on. And also any belt buckles, things like that, tools, make sure you're free of that. Make sure you got a soft shirt on, because you're going to be leaning against the car and working this product. And a lot of times we kind of get so involved in what we're doing, we kind of forget what's going on here. And the last thing we want to do is have our big old cowboy belt buckle scratching the paint of our vehicle, right? Even making more work. So we're going to blop this on here and just kind of work it around a little bit. And then we're going to set this for our very lowest setting. Okay, so it's going to go real slow, and we're just going to work a small, even like a 2x2 section at a time, and it's going to be a cross-hatch pattern. So we're going to be going forward and back, and then cross-hatching it this way. So here we go. To use two different colors. I use one, so I always remember that this was the one I started with, and it's starting to haze up a little bit, so all we're going to do is just wipe our compound off. Just simply wipe it off, and we can use that same movement that we did with our buffer. Okay, and then I'm going to just come back in with another towel here and clean it up a little bit more, and it is silky smooth. I can feel it. It's starting to really bring out that shine, and I don't know if you can tell from the camera there, but this is really a pretty finish. It's just going to look really nice when we get this outside in that beautiful sun. It's going to really pop. And this is without any top coat, and look at the shine. It's gorgeous. And that's just how simple this process is. We don't want to overdo it. We don't want our compound drying out. It's just a cross hatch pattern, and we're trying to work that product in and bring out any of the gunk that's left on the body, on the paint. It brings out that beautiful shine, and we're ready for that next 2x2 little spot that we want to do. And if you notice that your compound is drying quicker than you'd like it to, make your spot smaller. You don't have to go a full panel. And maybe the conditions are right in your garage or wherever you're doing this, and you can do half the hood, and it's not drying out, and that's great. Experiment, see what works for you. But in this case here, we have very minimal damage to the paint. It looks fantastic. So, a light compounding, and this here is just on the verge of ready for our wax or ceramic coating. It's that simple, folks. I hope you enjoyed this. Please subscribe to my channel. Help me out here. Show me some love. Give me a like. Give me some comments. Maybe I'm doing this right. Maybe I'm doing this wrong. What's your opinion? There are many ways to do these jobs. And this is the way I've been doing it. The results have been fantastic. But let me know what you think. Have you used some of these products that I'm using? Have you ever tried this? Give me a shout. But like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on that next video when we get ready to prep this for our final coat, and we're going to get this thing out on the road.